All right, everyone, hold on to your hard hats because our next speaker is going to take you on a roller coaster ride through the world of data and artificial intelligence. With a topic as intriguing as its title, Data Strangelove, or How I Learned to Keep Worrying and Loving AI. We're in for a pretty big treat here. So please give a warm welcome to the Executive Chair of the Board of Directors at EllisDon, the one and the only Geoff Smith.
Morning, everyone. Okay, I'll see if I can get us off schedule. This whole business about being ahead of schedule. I can talk all day if you like. And let me add the mic. It was very classy what you did. Thanks to you all for being here. Thanks to the organizers who told me to keep this positive, which I probably won't, but thank you anyway for your good advice. And I'll see if, let's see what we can do. My talk here is going to be, if it's okay, because now I'm the executive chair and I was CEO, a little more strategic, if that's okay, and a little less specific. And it's going to be about what does a 70-year-old, we're not quite as old as Hilti, but we're trying to, a 70-year-old construction company, traditional, boots on the ground, do to itself when the world is changing as we know that it is. So that's what I want to talk about, and that's where the worrying comes in, and I'm trying to love AI. That's the second half of the speech. Let me just say, I believe we're in a battle for the future of the industry. I know that we're all working together. I know that it's all harmony. I think things are changing so fast. And in this battle, I think the construction industry needs to stick together, as our brilliant first speaker said, not fight each other. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But I think there's upheaval coming. And I think the construction industry needs to try and control it, needs to try and be in charge of it, and not have it inflicted upon us. Let me start with a little context just because, and I'm not trying to brag and say blah, 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 but it's important, I think, for context for the little bit I'm going to say later. EllisDon, I was CEO for 25 years. Thank God I'm not anymore. I hope the new guy doesn't screw it up completely. It's been a terrific transition. I've enjoyed every second of it. We've done okay. We'll do $6 billion in revenue this year. Not as much as some, a lot more than others. $7 billion next year if we can find the people. And we've got a diversified strategy at EllisDon. We're not just a construction company. We've got this strategy called Cradle to Grave. Everybody hates that name, but nobody steals it, so I guess it's okay that way. But what Cradle to Grave is 25 different profit centers. We've got a project finance arm. We've got a facilities management arm. We've actually got an insurance brokerage. We've got a bunch of other stuff. We've also got a 200-strong person digital team. We started that digital initiative about 25 years ago with a product I'm sure you've all heard, called Edge Builder. I'm looking. Yeah, nothing. It was pretty junky. It was ahead of its time, but at least it got us started. And what it did do was it just helped us start to build the team. So now we've got programmers, we've got data analysts, we've got VR specialists, we've got UX designers. I don't actually know what a UX designer is, but I'm told we have a bunch of them. And they're very terrific. If there's any of them in this room, I'll meet you outside. You can tell me. We've got a predictive analytics startup called Compass that is not only profitable, but cash flow positive. So that's good. And what's important about all that, it's given us about 25 years of really consistently formatted and accurate data, which is about $100 billion worth in construction and services activity. Obviously, I'll come back to that. Now, the core business is in hands far more capable than mine, and I mean that sincerely, but I told everyone about 6 months ago I'm stepping down as CEO. I'm moving to executive chair. I don't have to do much, but one thing I want to stay involved with is digital. What got to me, and what I've never been able to get out of my head, and excuse me for being a little slower than all of you digital experts in the room, I was down at a speech with a guy, the CEO of OpenText, the great unicorn that came out of Kitchener-Waterloo. Guy's name is Mark Barenechia. Hope I said that right. Maybe some of you know him. He said 2 things that I accepted without reservation and have never got out of my head. He said to us all, there were all these CEOs there, all different types of CEOs. He said, Ladies and gentlemen, if your company in 10 years isn't a software company, then you won't have a company. So face that fact. You can imagine how I reacted to that. Then he said this. He said, everyone's talking about data. Remember, this is 5 years ago. He said, data is the new oil. Data, data, data. He said, it's not about data. It's about which data. There's data everywhere. You got to get the data part right. I've been repeating this around EllisDon for the last 5 years, because of course now we've only got 5 years left, and I've been met with the odd bit of ridicule. I imagine even at PCL there's a bit of resistance to all this new stuff. People say to me, Geoff, stop talking. We're not a software company. Stick to the knitting, dude. We're builders. We're a building company. And that's horseshit. Other than our formwork division at EllisDon, I don't mind telling you, we are not builders. There isn't a callus in the whole bunch of us. But we are leaders in the building process, which is a whole different thing. I want to tell you one last thing about the open text Mark Baranachia's, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, speech. At the end of his speech, he said, listen, everybody, if you need help on your way to transforming yourself into a software company, give me a call, I'll help you. So I did. And I went to see him, and he said, Geoff, we've got this software that's going to disrupt the construction industry, and we should really be using it. Which means that, and I don't want to sound paranoid, but OpenText is out to get me. They want to take my business. They want to disrupt me before I disrupt myself. I haven't seen Mark since. I know he's a great guy. I'm going to give you, if I may, and then I'll tell you a little bit about where EllisDon is going, 8 thoughts about this whole topic. They're not necessarily connected. It's not a coherent strategy. It's what's in my brain. And if you don't agree with them, that's terrific. We can have some great discussions. As I said, there are people on our digital team who don't agree with them. That's what makes EllisDon such a fun place to work. The first is that I do believe that the whole Edge Builder failed experiment that we did 25 years ago was built on a solid proposition. And that is that if you are in the construction management business, in the project management business, and you don't control your own project management software, then maybe you've lost control of your business. And maybe before long, you'll have lost control of your entire company. That's what I believe. Secondly, and as I said a minute ago, we general contractors like to think we're in the building business, right? I've often argued with our people that we're not. We're in the people business, and I'll come back to that in a second. But mostly, I think we're in the risk management business, the more I thought about it. And I've looked at a lot of other industries, and if you're in the construction business in this room, congratulate yourself, because I don't think anybody is better at risk management than our industry. We manage our own risk, but very importantly, we manage our clients' risk. That's what they count on us to do. And if you're developing a digital strategy, I think it's important to think about why your clients hire you in the first place. That's my second point. The third point's important, and not everybody in the room will agree with me or like it, but our industry, the general contractors and the subcontractors, we're the ones that create the data that everybody so desperately wants. And data will disrupt us. If it's not about the data, as Mark said, if it's about which data, and in my humble view, who better to build and curate the best construction software than the best builders in the industry? And let me just say on behalf of EllisDon, if you want to share what you've got with us, and I've had this conversation with my friends at PCL, positive conversation. If you want to share what you've got with us, we'll share what we've got with you. Because down the road, I don't believe it's happening yet, machine learning may teach us. But in the next few years, we're going to have to teach machine learning. Fourth point, most of the analytics software I've seen out there today, including today, is about making the construction process on the site more efficient. And I think that's terrific. But I think there's a lot more to it than that. Because I think that by the time the shovel hits the dirt, I guess that the success or failure of that project is already 70% determined by what happened before. It's not just about the construction processes, even the pre-planning construction processes. It's also about the values and the intellect of the people running them, and it always will be. We build EllisDon not just on the resumes of our people, but on their values. We call it the no jackass rule. Actually, we call it the no asshole rule. You're construction people, you can take it. But in my view, if you can predict that, then you're halfway home. I don't see people talking about that. Fifth point, maybe not as important, investment capital. In my humble view, I hope there's investment capital people in the room. Always happy to chat with you folks. Very important to the process. I don't think it's the issue. I think if we get our software and our digital approach right, the capital is coming to our industry now. They have discovered or in the process of discovering our industry. It's not necessarily the case of the best ideas looking for capital. Right now, there's a lot of capital out there looking for the best ideas so they don't miss out. There's money out there, that's my point. Number 6. Digital will not just disrupt the way we build. I believe it will demolish the structure of the construction industry that has existed for at least the last 75 years. And I know the organizer said, Geoff, be positive and talk about that. Everybody likes softer words. Uber didn't disrupt the taxi industry. It demolished it. And maybe that's not a bad thing. The structure, everything about our industry, as Mike pointed out, and I'll come back to, it's not exactly like we've been a showcase for productivity improvement. But let's at least face facts, and that's the war that I mentioned in my opening comments. 7, and Mike mentioned this, sustainability will do exactly the same thing. There are two forces that are going to, I'll say disrupt, or I'll say reorganize, but completely change our industry. One is digital, the other is sustainability, and they're obviously deeply entwined. That's for another speech. But with these two seismic forces tearing apart what has existed for so long, there is great peril. There is also great opportunity. That's why we're here. Only if the companies like mine, like PCL, like others, completely transform ourselves. Otherwise, we won't be here very long. My 8th point, my last point, and maybe the most important, is that nobody has a clue what's coming. I was amazed, we're all amazed by ChatGPT. But what amazed me mainly was how stunned Google was when it came out. Now, of course, they've raced to catch up, right? But when it came out, they went, whoa, dude, wow. Right? We all thought that AI, at least I did, I'd done all my reading, was about bringing the cost of prediction to zero. And ChatGPT changes everything so much that Geoffrey Hinton, who you've probably heard of, he's the great Canadian genius father of AI, who just came back to Canada, resigned his position at Google because he believes that the machines are going to take over. And if anybody would know. So all I'm saying is, let's go easy on making predictions. Fast, fluid, and flexible, I'll say it in a minute. That's the end of my comments. So here's what EllisDon is doing. We are determined, I'll say to you now, we have not yet, turn EllisDon into a software company. We are also, of course, determined to be a terrific construction company, close to the ground, taking on the biggest challenges, taking the biggest entrepreneurial risks, controlling risk for our clients. We believe that if we can combine those two attributes, those two great functions, and if we can embrace the truth that we have no idea what's going to happen next, then we can build a great digital and digitized construction operation that can help create the future structure of our industry rather than just react to it. So now I'm just going to talk in closing just give you a few words about what I think is EllisDon's most important business initiative since we were founded in 1951, called Building Digital. It's designed to be EllisDon's software future. It's a digital technology division that is born out of that 70 years of construction experience. The focus is to merge that construction experience with the software, using the digital platforms we've already built And the deep data we've created and collected and curated over the last 20 years, and sharing all that with others, if they'll share with us. We call it Construction 2.0, what the heck. It's designed to put our expertise and the expertise that we all have within this industry in the service of each other and in the service of our clients, of course. The idea is to overlap these platforms, our data with our predictive capabilities, provide clients, subcontractors, and GT with the most leading digital and technology offerings. Custom apps, custom BIM, custom VR, others will talk about these things, but also enterprise-level consulting for people who want it, because as I said earlier, our industry is about to mutate into something completely different from what it's been. And we're going to put everything behind this software venture, trust me. That whole 70 years, we're going to put it behind it. And I'm the chair of the board, so I get to say that with some confidence. I've been the chair of the board for like 2 weeks, so I'm feeling fairly chuffed about it. But I want to be really clear, my last point, all this talking about controlling our own destiny specifically includes working with the best construction apps out there. In fact, we're right in the middle of EllisDon's first accelerator program. We've interviewed about 100 construction tech startups and apps, et cetera. Over the next month, before the end of September, we'll choose a few of them to sponsor, to put on our sites, to put them through their paces, to test and improve their systems so that they can go forward with EllisDon's full support behind them. We want to champion these businesses. We'll do everything we can to make them successful. And I want to say to them, if you're in this room, we will protect your IP. It's yours. We don't want it. We will protect it and we'll support you. In the same way as we'll protect our own IP, of course, and everybody will. We want to work with the best minds and we want to make our best minds available to you. So I can't tell you exactly what building digital will look like over the next 5 years or even the next year or maybe 6 months from now. It is changing and will continue to change every day. Nobody knows what's going to happen. I said that. Show us a great opportunity and we'll go after it with you. So allow me to finish with this comment. We've all heard, and Mike just told us a few minutes ago, how construction is one of the least productive industries around. Not only are we sinking, we just got passed by farming, I'm told. If we can stop thinking of buildings as physical structures, I'm talking specifically now to those of you in the construction industry, and begin to understand these buildings as an experience. They used to protect us from the cold and the heat and the weather. Now they are an experience for the people who are in them. We need to think of them that way. And if we can think of buildings even further, not just as providers of a complete digital experience, but as digital entities in themselves. And I'm referring obviously to the digital twin. I don't think it will be long before the reality will be that the building is really what sits on your laptop. That's where it's maintained, that's where its services are created and delivered, and then it happens over there in that physical big thing that's the non-digital twin sitting on the lot. That will be the lesser twin. And that the real money lies not in improving our productivity, although that's important, but in recreating our entire industry. If we do that, Canada will continue to lead the world where we have for a long time in building expertise and in entrepreneurial creativity. That's our goal. I'm sure it's all your goals. We'd love to do it with you. Thank you very much.